If you have ever listened to Own Your Choices, Own Your Life, this is a moment that I do not take lightly. This podcast started with one voice, one mic, and a phone, and the decision to share stories and help people to recognize that they were not alone in their own journeys. Now we are very close to celebrating 1,000 episodes with a live in-person podcast event. If this show has ever shifted your thinking, helped you find your voice, reminded you of what is possible, this room, this live event is for you. It is intimate. It is small. It is March 21st in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. If you are nearby, we would love to have you there. I can't wait to celebrate with you. Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. I know you are here wanting to change and rewrite your story. You are desiring to step into the impact that you know you are here to create. I am here to guide you with the proven tools and strategies used by myself and our speakers to support you in taking radical responsibility in your life and learning how to own your choices to change your story. My name is Marsha Van Weinsberg. I am a storytelling business coach, master NLP trainer, speaker, podcaster, and 7 times published author. My clients have found freedom and purpose from overcoming their shame stories and learning how to share them with the world. I am so grateful you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. I am excited to talk to you about reframing today, and I want to share a very personal experience. So, reframing is probably something that you might have heard before, or you know that friend who's always able to just flip it and see a circumstances differently. Like reframing is actually the fastest way to shift your state without changing your circumstances. And your state is made up of like your internal representation, how you see the world, and as well as your physiology. So, for example, like I can be in a really slumped state, but if I go out and I'm like, okay, physiology, got to move my body, it feels better, then that's great. It does change my internal energy. But if it doesn't change my internal representation, which is how I see the world, then it won't change. So, nothing in your life actually has to change for your state to change. The circumstances and what you might be walking in and walking through don't have to change. And that's wild for people because people say to me, what was the number one thing you did that changed your story? And I'm like, I stopped trying to change my story. I literally changed myself first. And in doing and that work to change myself first, it changed how I responded to life. That is reframing. And by responding differently, that actually changes, like the dominoes start to change. And see, your nervous system, it doesn't respond to facts. It responds to the meaning that you attach to it. The emotions, the thoughts, it's actually, I think we get removed from the facts and we start playing the scenarios of all of the what ifs. So imagine like a really simple example. You get an email, you get a text from somebody. All of a sudden you start to spiral. Oh my God, they're not happy. This is not good. We go into worst case scenario of something that hasn't even happened yet. Maybe someone doesn't respond to your message and you start to tell yourself a story that, oh my God, they don't like me. They don't like what I'm doing. A launch feels slow and you start to question everything that you're doing. All of it is the same circumstances, but we're attaching different meaning and different states. And our state determines our behavior, and our behavior determines our results. So, reframing in NLP is literally changing the meaning of an experience without changing the facts. There's 2 types. We have context reframe and we have meaning reframe. Context reframe is, for example, when would like this actually be useful? So, for example, if you're being stubborn, that is building resilience. It's a different way to see it. Or being emotional, you're deeply empathetic. Like you're just changing the context of the meaning that you're applying to it. And in a meaning reframe, this is like, what else could this mean? And I want you to take that and look at it this way. Like if this launch feels slow, maybe the meaning is that my audience is warming up to what I'm doing, or I'm really nervous could mean that my body's preparing me for what I want to do. So, this is where like your nervous system is reacting to your interpretation of what's happening, not your reality. I have a really personal example that goes with this. So just stay with me because I live by these tools and they have changed my life in so many ways. And I want to continually show that there are very simple ways that you can apply this into your world. And in a very simple sense, if something is happening to you right now, I want you to ask yourself, what am I making this mean? What meaning am I attaching to it? What meaning am I making about myself? Because that actually is where your answer lies. So when we bring in the subconscious, this is why like reframing can actually shift your state. Because when we change the meaning, all of a sudden we can go from like a threat to it's just a contraction. Like I have a very dear friend of mine, a seven-figure earner. I love her to pieces. And I had to say to her last year when I was watching her, I'm like, there's no lion. Like I want you actually to turn around and look. There is no lion. And I love that reel that's going around where it's like a mom with young kids, drinking the coffee really fast because it's like, I gotta go, gotta go. And all of a sudden slowing down, going, no, there is no rush. We're training our system that we don't have to be in a constant state of threat because to our nervous system, an email that sets us off and an actual lion, it doesn't know the difference. It feels the same internally. So the sooner we can catch that, the better. And then with meaning, also looking at it going, okay, what meaning am I attaching to this experience, this lesson, this thing that is happening? With reframing, we are interrupting old patterns and we're breaking the loops that we keep getting ourselves stuck on. So when we do this and we shift our state, all of a sudden our brain now opens up to a new possibility. The thing with NLP and subconscious work is we are literally loosening up the boundary of the problem. We have this boundary of this problem that this is the way it has to be. And the boundary is so tight that there's no room for a new belief to go in there. But when we start asking questions, it opens up and loosens that boundary. And then all of a sudden, there's room for a new belief. And we want to create room for a belief because that's how we actually anchor and create a lasting shift and change. So imagine being able to go from like spiraling to calm in 60 seconds, from this feeling of rejection to, no, that's redirection. Actually, this is working for me. I don't love the for me. If you've been here for a while, you know that. But I do believe everything is teaching us something. And when I've had things really go astray over the last year multiple times, I've had a lot of wins and it looks like a lot of wins. And I've also had a lot of things that just went, well, that was not how I thought that was going to go. It's a redirection. And it actually put me on the path of where I was meant to be. So we get to shift and change that. And state change can happen at any time. It can happen at any time, and we can change that meaning at any time. I recently had a situation, I shared it in a reel, but I recently had a situation where over the last month, I've had 3 different people come to me and saying, this person is talking like really nasty about you openly and has been for a number of months. And I don't ask me why, but my first reaction was to laugh. I laughed out loud and I I mean, after the 3rd time, I'm like, obviously it is happening. But when I was talking to a colleague, she was like, oh my God, why aren't you mad? And I just went, you know what? Because I know who I am. I know who I am and I know what she's saying actually isn't true. See, when somebody is saying something about us and that's hitting that nerve in us, if it actually creates a reaction, it's because there's a part of us that believes that that's true. If what they're saying isn't true at all, I invite you to be in a space of like, is it true? Like, is it actually really true? And do you know who you are? If you know who you are, their words can't touch you. And that just all of a sudden in the moment, I went, oh my God, that's teachable. That's outspoken. That's what this work has done. It's shifted my entire nervous system, my subconscious belief system, and it's changed it all. And it's almost like created this version of me that I don't even recognize who I was 3, 4 years ago. And I love her dearly. But that's what can happen with this like repeated reframing. And so I want to tie this to all of the work that I'm always here to do. You've heard me say this before is that your ceiling is the biggest thought that you can have for yourself. And I love big thinkers. I'm a huge thinker. Your ceiling is your biggest thought and your floor is your deepest belief. Reframing actually raises that ceiling to think even bigger, but it also seals some cracks and holes that you have in that foundation of the floor. This subconscious work anchors in that floor and it raises the floor. Because if it raises the floor, all of a sudden it's like, I see myself being able to do this. And then all of a sudden, every single situation is reframed differently because you're opening up consciously what you see you're able to do, and subconsciously it matches. Your subconscious pattern, your reprogramming matches. The faster you learn how to reframe, the faster you can catch the thought and go, wait, what did I just say? What meaning am I giving this story? And separate the fact from the story. I often say in my outspoken program, we start with this and talk about it, is that the story versus the narrative. The story is just the facts. It's just the facts, right? Say, for example, the person didn't reply. The person texted back something that seemed kind of funny. You haven't heard from them in a while. Nobody bought your program. That's just the story. Those are facts. The narrative is, what story are you adding to it? Because I promise you, the narrative, and if you want to live at cause, the narrative is you. You get to decide the meaning that you attach to that. If you attach one that does not support you moving forward, it'll take you out every single time. And the only person who can change that narrative is you. That's it. So stop telling yourself a story that actually does not match with where you want to go and start asking better questions. What could this be teaching me? What if I see this misdirection as a redirection? What if I see this not as failure, but as a learned lesson? You shift your posture. How can this serve me? How is this teaching me something to become the version of me who has this? How can you speak it out loud? Your body starts to lock it in that it is possible for you. And you bring it back to your identity over and over you. This version of you who is scaling and building the business and, is having all these opportunities and creating what she's doing, he's doing. They reframe fast, so fast. There's no time to sit and ask yourself questions. They see those moments and go, that's my past version. This is who I am now. My brain is just trying to protect me. This is the direction I'm going in. That's how fast you want to learn how to reframe. And it's not that you're not feeling, you're actually seeing those old thoughts and those old beliefs that they don't support you, because they don't. They actually don't. They are my past version. That's my left side. I've got my hand out. That's where I was. My right side is where I'm going. How fast can we reframe to move in the direction of where we want to go? Because that's where your results lie. I promise you, that is where your results lie. You do not need a new strategy. You need to change the meaning and the story that you are applying to what you're doing. That will move you forward faster than you could ever imagine. I am sending you so much love. I would love to know how this lands for you. And please know I am forever cheering you on. Have an incredible day. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. If you love this episode, I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. Please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you truly own your life.